Here are some of the weirdest, most bizarre ways people have died in human history. In 1980, an experienced skydiver, 35-year-old Ivan McGuire, decided, I always go skydiving, let me just film it this time, just to get the vibes of me skydiving. The issue that Ivan had though was he went skydiving and he remembered his camera, but forgot his parachute and filmed himself dying all the way to the ground. Chef Peng Fan from southern China was having a regular old day at his job being a chef at a good old Chinese restaurant. But the thing is, at this restaurant, he was preparing a snake. So this snake, he had to cut off the head of the snake, and he cut it off, and then he put it to the side for 20 minutes. Okay? So, you know what I'm saying, Chef Peng Fan was going through all of his normal stuff. He finally gets the snake head, and he gets bitten by the snake head that's been decapitated for 20 minutes. And this bite was lethal, and Chef Peng Fan didn't make it out of that. Like a fall from.
This may be one of the worst ways to die. Whilst exploring a Nutty Putty Cave, a notoriously difficult cave path, a guy named John Jones got stuck. He got wedged into a narrow dead end, about 10 inches wide and only 18 inches high. Basically the opening of a clothes dryer. When his brother found him, he tried to pull John out by the ankles, but this only made things worse, as John actually slid further into the cave. Hundreds of people turned up to the cave hoping to help John, but because it was such a dangerous cave, they couldn't pull him out. But due to his strain of the downward position, John was pronounced dead at midnight on the 25th of November 2009. John's remains were never recovered after the incident. The cave was sealed up and turned into a memorial. For more 7 Sins, remember to click the plus sign and let me know what you think of John's story below.
The absolute worst ways people have died, part 3. In Yellowstone, a man jumped inside a boiling geyser to save his dog. When they got him out, he had 3rd-degree burns all over his body and he was still alive and conscious. He died moments later, seeing that his dog died the same way. At the Grand Canyon, a woman jumped trying to commit suicide, but she survived because she hit a ledge that wasn't far enough to kill her. She had to crawl until she found another ledge to finish what she started.
Unusual ways that people have died, part 5. Clement Van Delegem was a 19th century politician. He was defending a man in court who was accused of alleged murder. Clement was going to attempt a demonstration on how a handgun could accidentally go off. While demonstrating, he accidentally shot himself in the head. He was pronounced dead instantly. This demonstration did, however, work because his client was let off without any charges.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are the top most stupid and dumbest ways people have actually died. So let's go. Number 1, we got Heinz, and I'm not even going to say his surname. I cannot pronounce it. He was a mayor from a small village in Austria. Basically, once upon a time, a fire broke out in his village. Obviously, he was panicked, so he started rushing down the stairs. He has a really long beard, and he would normally keep it tucked into one of his pockets on his blazer. But unfortunately, when he was running down the stairs, his beard actually came out of his pocket, and he tripped over and broke his neck while running down the stairs. So why are you here? Oh, my beard killed me. Next is death by cactus. Okay, cool. So in 1982, 2 men went to the Sonora Desert. Obviously, they had guns on them because they're American. And these type of cacti are actually lawfully protected, so you're not allowed to do anything to them. Anyway, one of the idiots decided to stand next to a cactus and shoot one of the heavy arms. The heavy prickly arms then fell on him and he died. Basically, in theory, he got the death sentence for shooting a cactus. Lesson learned. Don't shoot cacti. Back for part 2.
Craziest ways people have died, part 1. So Chef Peng Fan from China was bitten by a cobra and died. But the weird thing was that the cobra's head was literally cut off 20 minutes prior. Fan had put the head aside, the severed head, so the cobra should have been dead, and he prepared the soup with the body of the snake. That's when the cobra's head bit him and killed him in 2013.
The absolute worst ways people have died, part 2. Being skinned alive. First, they try to loosen the skin, and to do that they will either dip you inside boiling water or they will leave you in the sun until you get sunburned, and then they will start removing your skin. After getting through all that pain, you will feel extremely cold, and the worst part, it may take days for you to die. St. Lawrence was roasted alive on a huge grill, and when they asked him to deny his faith, he said, "Turn me over, I'm done on this side."
Crazy ways people have died, part 2. Gary Banning was at his friend's house when he saw a glass jar on the counter. He grabbed the jar and started to drink it, thinking it was some type of drink. And to his surprise, it was gasoline. Realizing it was gasoline, he quickly spit it out and it got all over his clothes. Gary, trying to cool down after the incident, went outside to go smoke a cigarette. Once lighting the cigarette, it burst into flames because of the gasoline in his mouth and shirt. He set himself on fire and later died in the hospital. Lesson of the day, do not touch food or drinks that is not yours. Or just don't play with fire when you are around gasoline. I don't know.
The dumbest death ever. Attila the Hun, born 406 AD, died 453 AD. He was one of the most feared military leaders of all time, but he didn't die in battle. On his wedding night, after heavy drinking and feasting, he suffered a severe nosebleed in his sleep and choked to death.
Craziest ways people have died, part 2. 26-year-old Mark Gleason, who was a chronic snorer, attempted to cure his snoring, but it unfortunately killed him. He tried to cure it by sticking 2 tampons up his nose. So he had these tampons in his nose while he slept. Unfortunately, he suffocated in his sleep and sadly passed away in 1996.
The absolute worst ways people have died, part 10. There is an execution method where they put a cage on your belly with a rat inside. Then they hit the cage so that the rat starts to panic and tries to get out by digging into your belly. A huge number of people died from being trapped inside the burning homes after the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. People had to listen to their families burn to death while they were unable to do anything to help them. And if you escaped that fate, you might have had your eyeballs and skin melt. And even if you escaped that too, you might still die by just drinking water.
It was designed to fit into the room like a piece of furniture, and the family gathered around it. It's a cozy scene, but one that sometimes had deadly consequences.
Insufficient insulation in the loudspeaker of a television set caused the death of Victor Smith, aged 4, in Kegworth. He was found dead near the set at his home.
Some television models had not taken into account just how dangerous the combination of electrical wiring, wood, poor insulation and ventilation could be. The Home Secretary was forced to address the subject and announced,
"A new British standard specification for TV sets, including revised safety precautions in the light of recent experience, was nearing completion."
The absolute worst ways people have died, part 9. There was an execution method where first they would hang the person upside down by their feet. Then they would saw them down the middle, starting from the top. And it was a slow and painful death. Rasputin was poisoned, shot 3 times and put into a body bag, and only after he was thrown into a river did he die of drowning. Death of 1,000 cats. This is an execution method from China where the person is slowly cut into pieces through the use of literally 1,000 knives.
Craziest ways people have died, part 3. So, did you know there's something as overdosing on water? I literally knew this and I literally thought I overdosed on water, so I literally put on a jumper and ran up the hill 10 million times because I was trying to sweat out the water. But I didn't OD, so it's okay. But unfortunately, Jennifer Strange from California did pass away from intoxication from water. So what had actually happened? She was in a contest to win a Nintendo Wii console in 2007. The contest was hold your Wii for a Wii. So the contest was to drink as much water as possible without going to the toilet. So unfortunately this led to water intoxication. It's a thing, guys.
The craziest execution methods, part 9. The Colombian necktie. Obviously this first appeared in Colombia, during a period known as La Valencia, which was a 10-year civil war. Extremely simple but very brutal. First, your throat is slashed. The tongue is then pulled through the gaping wound towards the sternum. This one's actually pretty creative, but still earns a nice long fuck that.